Imagine for a moment a world where Apple, the company that once redefined the very meaning of innovation, finds itself scrambling to keep up in the most pivotal technology race of our era, the battle for artificial intelligence dominance. The scene is set at this year's Worldwide Developers Conference, and the pressure is palpable. In years past, Apple's leadership would stride confidently onto the stage, greeted by a global audience eager to witness the next revolution. But today, the stakes are existential. With rivals like Microsoft, Google, and Meta unveiling wave after wave of advanced AI features, the question hanging over Cupertino is stark. Can Apple recapture its legendary magic, or is it destined to become a relic of its own glorious past? To understand just how high the stakes have become, let's rewind and put Apple's current crossroads in perspective. For more than 20 years, Apple has been the lodestar of consumer technology. The launch of the iPhone in 2007 didn't just change how we communicate, it triggered a seismic transformation across telecommunications, entertainment, and even financial services. The iPad reimagined personal computing, while the Mac's steady evolution helped anchor entire ecosystems of developers and creatives. Investors funneled trillions of dollars into Apple stock, and consumers routinely camped out overnight for a chance to be among the first to own the latest device. The Apple logo became synonymous with aspiration, design excellence, and technical wizardry. Yet the world has changed faster than even Apple could have predicted. In the past 12 months alone, Apple's stock price has nosedived by more than 1/5, wiping out hundreds of billions of dollars in market value. For context, this decline is even sharper than what Google has experienced, and stands in stark contrast to the meteoric rises of Microsoft and Nvidia, companies whose fortunes are now directly tethered to the AI revolution. Investors are anxious, and for good reason. Apple's AI capabilities are increasingly viewed as lagging behind those of its most formidable competitors. The once unquestioned leader now faces a credibility gap. The competition is relentless. Meta's Ray-Ban Meta smart glasses have become a runaway hit, selling more than 2 million units and capturing the imagination of tech enthusiasts and everyday consumers alike. These lightweight, affordable glasses, priced at less than $400, offer hands-free access to AI-powered features, an appealing alternative to Apple's Vision Pro headset, which retails for over $3,000 but has yet to achieve mass adoption. Meanwhile, Google is aggressively re-entering the smart glasses arena, this time leveraging its powerful Gemini AI model to deliver context-aware experiences. Microsoft, for its part, is bundling AI features into its productivity suite, raising subscription prices by nearly 1/3 and signaling a clear playbook for monetizing AI at scale. But the real story may be Apple's own internal reckoning. Recent testing revealed that Siri, Apple's digital assistant, trails behind ChatGPT by as much as 25 to 30% in accuracy and contextual understanding. This is a startling gap for a company that has invested billions into its proprietary silicon chips. The latest M4 chip, boasting a neural engine capable of performing more than 38 trillion operations per second, was designed as Apple's answer to the AI arms race. Yet, the reality is sobering. The hardware is world-class, but the software lags behind. As Mark Gurman of Bloomberg warns, the iPhone's future dominance and Apple's ambitious product roadmap are imperiled by persistent AI deficiencies, necessitating immediate and decisive action, a dire warning for Cupertino. The stakes extend far beyond technical bragging rights. On the legal and regulatory front, Apple faces a barrage of challenges that threaten to unravel the very business model it has so meticulously constructed. Courts in both the United States and Europe are actively questioning the legitimacy of Apple's so-called walled garden, the tightly controlled App Store ecosystem that has generated tens of billions in annual revenue through service fees and commissions. The United States Court of Appeals recently upheld new payment mandates, forcing Apple to allow alternative payment methods within apps. If Apple is compelled to slash its App Store commissions, it could lose up to $10 billion in annual revenue, a blow that would reverberate throughout its entire ecosystem. The regulatory winds are not blowing solely from the West. In China, state-sponsored initiatives are pouring hundreds of billions into AI research and development, with the explicit goal of global AI supremacy by the end of this decade. This adds even more pressure on Apple to innovate at a pace it has rarely needed to match, not just to beat rivals in Silicon Valley, but to fend off well-funded, state-backed challengers from abroad. The global AI chessboard is crowded, and Apple no longer holds all the best pieces. And then there's the looming specter of tariffs, with policymakers in Washington threatening to impose tariffs of up to 1/4 on iPhones and other Apple products. The company may be forced to shift up to 1/3 of its production to India by the close of this decade. This could increase Apple's manufacturing expenses by as much as 5 to 7% annually, translating into billions of dollars in additional costs. Such a move would require re-engineering supply chains, negotiating with new suppliers, and navigating a host of logistical challenges, all at a time when nimbleness is essential. But is Apple's decline truly inevitable? Not everyone is convinced. Bob O'Donnell, CEO of Technalysis Research, offers a contrarian take. The AI hype may be overblown. Most consumers prioritize factors other than AI when purchasing hardware, suggesting Apple's AI lag might not be a critical disadvantage. Indeed, Apple's brand loyalty remains extraordinarily high. Many users cite reliability, seamless integration, and design as reasons to stay in the Apple ecosystem, regardless of AI capabilities. For the average consumer, the transition to AI-powered devices may not be as urgent as Wall Street believes. Still, the sense of urgency within Apple's executive ranks is real. Evercore ISI analysts have noted, the narrative that Apple is behind on AI will persist despite anticipated updates, as Apple's capital-light strategy underestimates the scale of the AI challenge. In other words, even if Apple introduces impressive new features at this year's conference, the perception of lagging in AI will not vanish overnight. The company must not only catch up, it must leapfrog the competition to re-establish itself as the industry's North Star. So, as the world tunes in to WWDC, we find Apple at a true inflection point. The decisions made in Cupertino over the coming months will determine whether Apple can adapt to the AI-driven future or be left behind, remembered only as the company that once led but could not keep up. The possibilities are as dramatic as they are unpredictable. Let's examine the possible futures. In the most optimistic scenario, Apple engineers a remarkable comeback, a true AI-driven renaissance. Imagine a Siri that finally understands nuance, context, and intent, responding in natural language and anticipating user needs. Imagine on-device AI so powerful and private that it redefines personal computing, setting a new industry standard for security and utility. If Apple can pull this off, analysts predict services revenue could surge by 15 to 20% over the next 3 years, reaching as much as $130 billion by 2027. With over 1 billion active devices, even incremental improvements could translate into massive financial gains. Apple would not just catch up, it could redefine the rules of the game. There is precedent for such a turnaround. In the late 1990s, Apple was on the brink of bankruptcy before Steve Jobs returned and unleashed a wave of innovation that included the iMac, iPod, and ultimately, the iPhone. Could Apple's current leadership channel that same spirit of creative urgency? The fact that Apple is reportedly investing up to $500 billion in AI infrastructure over 4 years, a sum that rivals the GDP of some small countries, suggests the company is betting big on a comeback. But the dangers are equally real. If Apple falters, a regulatory tsunami could force the company to slash App Store commissions to as little as 15%, cutting annual service revenues by up to $10 billion. The company would then be forced to seek new sources of income through enhanced subscriptions, deeper partnerships, or even entirely new product categories. The pressure to diversify would be immense, and the margin for error razor thin. The threat of tariffs and supply chain disruptions adds another layer of complexity. If tariffs are enacted and Apple shifts a third of its manufacturing to India, production costs could balloon by up to $5 billion per year. Apple's meticulous supply chain, a marvel honed over decades, would face unprecedented stress. Delays, quality issues, and increased logistics costs could all erode Apple's legendary reputation for reliability. As Gene Munster of Deepwater Asset Management puts it, acquiring a major AI player like Anthropic is a strategic imperative for Apple to effectively compete, signaling a potential shift in Apple's acquisition strategy. Adding to the intrigue is the competition's aggressive posture. Meta's smart glasses, which have already sold more than 2 million units, are proof that the market for AI-powered wearables is not just hype. Microsoft's decision to raise its Microsoft 365 family subscription prices by nearly 1/3 after bundling in new AI features signals that consumers are willing to pay for tangible, productivity-boosting enhancements. OpenAI's recent $6.4 billion acquisition of a cutting-edge hardware startup led by former Apple design legend Jony Ive, is a shot across the bow. It suggests that the next frontier in personal technology may be defined not just by software smarts, but by integrated hardware-software experiences, an area where Apple has historically excelled. Looking further afield, China's push to dominate AI by 2030, backed by massive investments and state-driven initiatives, represents a long-term strategic threat. Apple will need to accelerate its own AI integration to remain competitive not just in the United States and Europe, but in the world's fastest-growing markets. Failure to do so could mean ceding ground to rivals who are more nimble, better funded, or simply more attuned to local demand. So, what does all this mean for you, the investor, the app developer, the curious observer, or the everyday Apple user? If you own Apple shares, volatility is now the rule, not the exception. The stock's 20% drop this year is a sobering reminder that even the most venerated companies are vulnerable to technological disruption. As an app developer, you may soon have new opportunities to build payment solutions and services outside the App Store's restrictive framework. But you'll also face fresh competition and uncertainty as Apple's policies shift. For consumers, the next wave of Apple devices may bring powerful new features and privacy safeguards, but also a host of unknowns. Will your data remain secure? Will AI integration make devices more helpful or more intrusive? Will Apple's famed user experience survive the coming transformation? Perhaps the most important lesson here is about the nature of innovation itself. Apple's current predicament reveals how quickly the technological frontier can shift, and how even the most iconic companies can find themselves on the back foot. Bob O'Donnell of Technalysis Research reminds us, the AI hype may be overblown. Most consumers still buy based on design, reliability, and ecosystem. Yet, he concedes, if AI does become the killer feature, the companies that adapt fastest will shape the future of how we live, work, and connect. As the curtain rises at WWDC, the world waits to see whether Apple can deliver a stunning new chapter. The company's strategy, massive investments exceeding $500 billion over 4 years, bold internal restructuring, and the possibility of acquiring leading AI firms, signals a willingness to fight for its future. But execution is everything. Every announcement, every demo, every line of code unveiled on that stage could tip the balance. And here's a little-known secret. While much of the public focus is on flashy AI features, Apple's deeper strategy may revolve around personal AI servers, dedicated, on-device systems that keep your data private while delivering advanced intelligence. If Apple can make this vision a reality, it could set a new standard for privacy-centric AI, giving users the power of cutting-edge technology without sacrificing control over personal information. Citi Research notes, Apple's comprehensive full-stack approach positions it favorably for the personal AI server era, although delays in personalized Siri features remain a concern, reflecting integration complexities. So, what do you think? Is this Apple's moment to reclaim its crown? Or are we witnessing the dawn of a new era with fresh leaders and bold visions? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this analysis eye-opening, hit the like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the forces shaping global tech and economics. Remember, no company, no matter how mighty, is immune to disruption.